Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, come in again today. You're very, very welcome. Stunning blue sky outside today. Had a beautiful walk this morning. I trust you enjoyed my last video on Australian songstress Casey Donovan, and through her Australian Idol winning song "Listen with Your Heart," we looked at the very thing. And just thinking about that myself, I'm thinking that we play music with our hearts, not our heads. And I think I might have been getting onto something there after all this time. So there we go. Well, we're going from there to a guy that was born in 1943 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Singer, guitarist, songwriter, and very influential in jazz, pop, rhythm and blues, and scat singing. The guy we're talking about is George Benson. He played ukulele from about the age of 7 and guitar from the age of 8. This guy was a bit of a child prodigy, and music was really the only thing that he was going to ever do. And he's been doing this for a very, very long time indeed. He started his music career at the age of 19. And back at the start, his record company discouraged him from singing because they didn't think his voice was good enough. Very foolish thing to say, because as we're going to see, his singing voice is absolutely silky smooth, superb. And this is the great thing about George Benson. It's just his silky smoothness. It's like effortless. He's got some pretty smooth backing behind him, nice strings and percussion, and of course he can play guitar really, really well, this guy's. Put him in the same category as kind of B.B. King, that kind of style of guitar playing. He just does what he does, but he's got a little bit more grunt to him as well. And you know, George Benson is George Benson, and he is quite unique in the world of music, that is for sure. Classic soul voice, awesome groove, and feel you just get swept along with the ride with this guy because he's just so effortless. But the best way to experience George Benson is to look at some clips, and we've got some clips below. We got Breezin, 1976, off the album of the same name. This particular album was 3 times platinum, and this went to #1 on the Billboard charts. So this is a massive song for George Benson. So we've got a live version of that one. We then got sort of one of his well-known songs, and pretty much put its own spin on that, is on Broadway. live version of that from Weekend in LA from 1978. I find that quite funny when it's, you know, as we know, Broadway is in New York. And that got me thinking a bit today. I remember when I was in the United States in New York, and we did go to Broadway. In fact, it was around that Christmas time, so the Christmas tree was up, and we went to see Wicked on Broadway. How exciting is that? And you know, when I heard this song, my mind went back to those memories. I mean, New York for me was, well, you know, it's a city that never sleeps, as we know. You know, got Central Park and the bridges and the harbour and the rivers and all the rest of it. But it was a bit lost on me, I must admit. It was a bit big, and I think for me, I needed some context for the city, perhaps talking to some of the locals. Of course, you know, there's been no shortage of sitcoms over the years. I've had New York, you know, Seinfeld, Friends, Sex and the City. They've all been in New York, and you know, and when you have the context of those 3 shows in particular, New York kind of takes on a new life of its own. I must admit, I did enjoy Central Park. We walked through it Christmas Day, and of course chipmunks who we'd never seen running around the place, which was pretty cool. But the thing I love about Broadway, and it comes up so often in musical theatre, it's just the vibe of the place. So when I went to Broadway, you know, I kind of knew the place before I even got there, even though I wasn't even quite sure where it was. But you know what? Broadway actually goes through a fair bit of New York. But there is a distinctive little strip where all the theatres are. But you know, you feel like you're in an iconic place. I remember when going on Wall Street, same kind of feeling there. You know, it's a bit of an iconic place. And you know, these streets kind of have a bit of a hold of you. And of course, when you get there, you know, your expectations are kind of exceeded because of where you are. And to actually see a show on Broadway, you know, that's like the dream right there. And it was Wicked, which was pretty good actually. So we think about memories and the things that are important to us. I must admit, when I went out to America, it was San Francisco and Chicago that meant more for me. Sorry, all you New Yorkers out there. Your place is just too big for me. But New York stood out because of Broadway and being able to get there and to see a show on Broadway, because it is an iconic street. And it's funny how these streets get into our psyche and into the world's imagination, and they take on a bit of an iconicness about them. And so when you're actually there, it's pretty cool. It's got me thinking more about memories. One of the big things about that night were the memories it's created. It wasn't snowing, but I was thinking about it. It was cold, obviously, because it was in December, January. But memories are just so important. Perhaps when things may not be anymore, that you can still look back in fondness of those memories, because nothing can take memories away from you. And sometimes you've got to make them now, because you might need them later. And certainly for me, Broadway is one of those memorable kind of moments. There's a bit of magic that night. There were lights in the trees, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful night. And so when I couple those memories with this song just actually literally brings it to life. And we know how good George Benson is. This is one of his signature tunes right here. You add in his guitar and his scat singing that he does. His singing and his guitar just kind of go together. It's pretty amazing what he does. And so it just really, to me, encapsulates the groove that is Broadway, the vibe of it, the feel of it. It's more than tarmac and paving. It's Broadway. And so I want to thank you, George Benson, for actually bringing this memory back to my life today. And you may have iconic streets that or places that you've been where you've been, you remember with fondness. Well, hang on to those memories, because you're going to need them down the track. So on Broadway, bit of a distraction there with that song. Another one of iconic George Benson songs is "Give Me the Night." Now we all know what that's about. He's kind of pleading with her here at this point. Hey, there's music everywhere, there's love everywhere. Let's just give me the night. Of course, if you are walking along Broadway and you've seen a show, you've perhaps had a meal, and you're hand in hand with your gal, and you're going back to your hotel, the anticipation and expectation, particularly for a guy. Girls, take note out there, right? If you're having a really, really nice night with a guy that you've been with for a while, and it's commitment there on the rest of it, give him the night, because he'll certainly give you the night, as he has already. Because us guys, we understand, that it's the relationship that's really, really important, and this just naturally flows on from that. In fact, I heard a particular saying once. It's about caressing the girl's emotions. So beautiful, and I think George Benson absolutely does that with the way that he plays. In fact, it's spine-tinglingly, oozingly effortless. And I think we've got to put it. George Benson is a class act, that is for sure. Then we've also got, in fact, they're all live versions today, pretty cool. Got a live version of Take 5. Now, this is a very, very complicated piece of music right here. The time signature for musos out there is very, very strange. And it's got this whole groove happening all the way through it. Of course, we've got this pretty intricate guitar solo happening over the top by George Benson. So we've got a live version of Take 5. So the links to those 4 clips are in the description below. Between 1964 and 2019, how long is that career? 36 studio albums, that's quite a lot. 8 live albums, 21 compilation albums, 2 video albums, 72 singles, and 115 what Wikipedia says as sideman, so collaborations. He's been well and truly sought after as a guitarist and singer, that is for sure. Masquerade is another one of iconic songs. He's actually won 10 Grammy Awards for various vocal performances and sold around the 12 million albums mark. So in the scheme of things, he's kind of made his mark in the music industry, but he's made his mark because of who George Benson is. There's never going to be anyone quite like this guy. I'd almost put this guy in the distinctive category. When he put his guitar and voice together, there's no one else remotely close to him. So distinctive, George Benson. A bit of trivia for you too. Married to Joni Lee since 1962, so that's pretty amazing. In fact, it was around about the time that, so she's known him all of his career, pretty much. 7 children. And the great thing about their longevity, George Benson just says that it's all about creating balance. Obviously, she has inspired his music. But there's a balance between him as an artist and him as a family man, as a husband. And I think this is a beautiful thing about the George Benson love story. There's nothing better than, singing about all these love songs up on stage, but it's actually your experience as well. This makes George Benson even more iconic and compelling. So the links to those 4 songs in the description below. I've also included my last one from Casey Donovan. So if you want to recap on her, feel free. Well, so it's good after a distraction from a few people from A to F again. We're actually getting back into G again, which is pretty cool. If this is your first time, the Live Reflections, or you've come back for another one, welcome to everyone for coming back and for being here for the first time. And always the encouragement is, because I never say thank you at the start, apart from welcome, I always say it at the end, because I want people to kind of hang around to the end of the videos, because we do believe we've got something to say. Even if it's to one person, and it's an encouragement for you as you consider your memories today. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to music electro composing genius Giorgio Moroder. And you'll be surprised at some of the songs this guy has written. So that's where we're heading next time. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.